Good morning and welcome to Trail Grazers Bugging Out. And today we are headed to the cabin for something exciting, but we have a little apprehension as well. This is going to be our first night actually sleeping up there. And it's probably a little bit premature because we are still almost totally off grid. So there's Jim.
Hi, how you doing?
And we have so much stuff in our truck. The bed is completely loaded. The back seat is almost up to the window level. But we have clean bedding for our bed. This is our fourth trip up. The first trip was just to kind of explore the place. And then we have made 2 trips up doing a little bit of cleaning. But it's so far away from our home that by the time we get there, we only have about 2 or 3 hours to do any cleaning before we have to pack up and come back home. So today we're going to brave it. It's supposed to be about 35 degrees tonight and about 57 during the day, so we think we're going to be okay. We have plenty of bedding. We have one of our space heaters that will be running on our Bluetti. We'll be testing that out, so it should be a really good opportunity for us to see how some of our off-grid things work. So right now we do have water at the cabin, so that is good. But there's no electricity. There is no propane in the tanks. We brought a small tank up there last trip, but it's not hooked up yet. When David gets up there, maybe tomorrow, he can probably hook up that small tank and we can at least have some propane going to the stove in the kitchen and we can do some cooking. We don't have a refrigerator up there yet, so it's still pretty primitive. So we're on a bumpy road right now, so we will come back as soon as we get to the cabin and scope things out. Well, we have been here a couple of hours, and we actually had quite a bit to do, which is why it's taken us 2 hours to get back to you. When we got here, the cabin was absolutely freezing. And so one of the first things that Jim had to do was to build a fire in this wooden stove, and we brought with us one of those heat-powered fans. No electricity, no batteries. It runs just by the heat, and it is warming things up for us quite a bit. So we've had lunch. Stuff we brought in from the truck is just all around. Jim is, of course, sitting at his computer. We have no electricity and no Wi-Fi. So he downloads a bunch of stuff and is just going to be reading. Is that right, honey?
That's right, I'll just be reading.
And so I wanted to show you the kitchen. We've only cleaned about 1 bedroom and 1 bathroom so far. And the kitchen is a horrible mess, but I cleaned and sanitized one little section right here along this countertop behind the microwave, and there's the water barrel that we brought up last time, but we did find the way to turn the water on finally, and I have sanitized the sinks. So everything about in terms of countertops, we have about a half of the countertops that are clean and sanitized, and we warmed up our home canned vegetable soup on this little Coleman butane stove. So we're set there. So here is where our bedroom is going to be, and we brought clean bedding from home. These 2 things came originally from the cabin, but we brought the rest of the stuff is our own that we brought from home, and we've got a few things in the closet right now. We'll be making our bed soon. We also brought this space heater that works so well. It's infrared, and under that white plastic is the Bluetti that we will be connecting it to through the night so that we can be warm. I had kind of a scare when we first got to the cabin. One of the things, our first 3 visits up here, we were hauling water from the pond to make the toilets work. And so I didn't want to do that anymore. And David was able to do some checking and got the well going, and the tank on the hill is filled, and so we can now have water, thank goodness. but you have to turn it off and on, off when you leave the cabin and on when you come back. And as I opened the little door for the water main, which is inside the house, which makes it convenient, I was greeted by a lovely black widow with her red mark on her belly in clear view. And so I'm not afraid of spiders, I'm not afraid of snakes, but I don't like to get cozy with black widows. So I closed the door, and Jim found an old can of flying insect killer. I think you found it in the washroom, didn't you, Jim, in the laundry room? And so that black widow is no longer with us. For the rest of our afternoon, we worked in the bathroom. I lucked out with that shower curtain. It kind of matches. And so we cleaned this bathroom and got some of our supplies in place. And then we just finished making our bed. And so it has 2 layers of quilts. This is an old king-size comforter that we had, so it goes almost to the ground, which is nice. And then we have a little duvet right here. If we get really cold, we can pull that up over the top. So I think we're set for the night. And it is late afternoon, and it's going to be dark outside here pretty quick. So we don't have any lights, any electricity, but we have some of our off-grid lighting that we're going to set up here. Okay, so now we each have our little night light. And we will be set if we have to get up in the night for anything. Here is the little door behind which is the water shut off. So I'm going to open it up and see if there's any sign of our black widow. Oh, right there she is. Okay, so we'll get rid of her in just a few minutes, and I'll sleep more soundly. So Jim is
Adding wood to the fire.
Jim is adding wood to the fire. He was just outside bringing some more loads of wood so that he can build a fire first thing in the morning. Well, this is like the pioneers, isn't it, Jim?
This is going to last about an hour.
Oh, okay.
So it's so dry, I will have to go out and get more before dark, plus pile more right up against the side of the house.
Okay.
So it's, I don't know if it'd be like a pioneer thing, but...
Well, it certainly is off-grid, that's for sure. And it's warm and comfortable in here, but it doesn't go back to the back bedroom.
No, it doesn't. So we will be cold tonight.
No, we won't. We have our space heater and our Bluetti, so it should last all night.
Should.
Yep.
Let's hope so.
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
Well, it's morning.
It is.
Finally. That was a long night. So it was a pretty long night.
Very long.
So we learned some things. Our Bluetti, when the room is totally cold, like that room was, when we hooked up the space heater, the heat kicked on and it didn't go off for quite a while, unlike when we use it at the house.
About a half hour or
It
so.
cycles off and on, and it only lasted half hour before our Bluetti had used up all of its power. So I was warm under the covers. Were you okay?
Yeah.
And we didn't need to pull up the duvet. It was warm enough.
It was warm enough, yes.
But I woke up at 12:30, had to get up, and I was quite surprised at how warm the cabin was. I mean, it wasn't warm, but it wasn't knock your socks off cold either. We had left a fire going in the wood-burning stove, and it seemed to help a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
And then I couldn't fall back asleep, so I came out here on the couch and lay down and slept. But in any case, there were no coyotes or anything else.
Dogs or horns or anything like that.
So we had Really, it was a pretty good night. My watch says I slept for 7 hours. That's a good night for me.
Very good.
So, David should be here around 11, and we're going to do some things like work on trying to get the propane going and maybe even getting the solar, the electrical going. So, this was our first night adventure. Glad to have you along, and we'll be doing it again, I'm sure.
As we continue the process of coming back up, fixing things, and kind of going from there.
Yeah, it really is better for us to come up one day and spend the night. We can work for a whole lot more hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we will see you again for more adventures up here at the cabin.
Okay, take care. We'll see you later.